Nick here, and last week we did the unboxing of Bloodborne the board game, and this week we're going to be doing the review of it. If you're a fan of Dungeon Crawl board games and also of Bloodborne the video game, stick around because I think you're going to like the review. On my channel you can find video game and board game unboxing and reviews, as well as board game how to play videos. So if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing because I have some really cool projects coming up next. This board game was part of a Kickstarter campaign by Simon Games or Kmon Games, and it was like a few years ago and it was just released. You're gonna be exploring Yharnam, which is the city where the hunters are essentially hunting nightmares and hellish creatures. With kind of the same story and background as in the Bloodborne the video game. The enemies, they are the same as the ones in the video game. Even the hunter mobs, like they kept like the three guys together, like the three hunters together that used to be in the video game as well. And the board game is really cool. Like you start by choosing which hunter you're going to be playing. You can choose up to 4 different hunters, and each hunter comes with a weapon, and it's weapons that you can actually find in the game, right? Like the Ludwig Holy Blade, which was my personal pick when I was playing the game. And each weapon has their normal use, and you have also the special use, which changes the weapon just like in the video game, which is pretty cool. And then once you have chosen your hunter, you start setting up a campaign. You have essentially in the base game you have 4 campaigns, and each campaign is composed of an introduction card first, and then you have the chapters, which describe how the setup is going to work, which enemies you need to add to your hunter's board, and so on. And then after that you have a deck of mission cards, and as you play the chapters, the chapter asks you to look at certain mission cards, which will then give you special objectives or spawn like powerful enemies and so on. And your objective is to finish a chapter before this token reaches the end of the board. Every turn you start with 3 cards, and if you discard one of those cards you can move up to 2 spaces. And then once you go through one of the exits of the tile that you are, then we add the next tiles, and those tiles are controlled based on the campaign. So you have some that the campaign asks you to have, and some random ones. So every time you play, even if you play the same campaign or the same chapter, you are gonna find different results because the board is gonna change as you play. As you add new tiles, they might add new enemies or new treasures. The enemies in this game, the way it works is that you have every chapter you have always 3 enemies that you're going to be fighting, and the enemies, the behaviors for the enemies, each card has it's 2-sided with different abilities on each side. And so you shuffle them and then you place them on the board, and each spot where you place the cards have a symbol. And that symbol, like when you review a tile, you look at the symbol and then you know which enemy you're going to be placing there. When you're fighting the enemies, then you use your deck of cards to add to the different combos or attacks that you have in your weapon, or depending on the hunter that you have and the weapon that you have, if you do a certain amount of combos, the weapon automatically switches to the special mode. Then you can do some other attacks and come back to the base mode of the weapon, which is pretty cool. It's exactly like you do it in the game. Also for the enemies, they have an enemy attack deck. So every time they attack, you flip the card, and that card reveals which attack the enemy will perform. So that makes every encounter and every fight different, which I think it's really, really good. You don't have a lot of health in the game. You have only 6 when you start. And as you defeat the enemies, you gain blood echoes, and then you use the blood echoes to go to the Hunter's Dream to upgrade your character. And the way you upgrade your characters is you go to the Hunter's Dream, which you can do at any time. And when you go there, you have 4 cards which are upgrades that you buy with your blood echoes. And those cards, they are better versions than the base cards that you have for your deck. You swap one of those upgrades with the base cards that you have. So it's kind of like your character attacks are becoming better and allow you to do some really cool combos. You have cards that allow you to dodge, stagger enemies, stun, and so on. In terms of difficulty, it's okay, like it's not super hard. I think it's easier in terms of difficulty than Dark Souls, the board game. The boss fights are pretty cool. You have like multiple stages of fights that happen during the campaign where the enemy becomes stronger, they have more health, and their attacks are going to be more powerful, and they have a special attack deck which add extra abilities. The board game also has moments very similar to the video game where you enter a room and then fog gates appear on all the exits. So you have to defeat the enemy before you can exit the room or the tile, which is pretty cool. Like, I think they did a very good job of transposing the gameplay of the video game to the board game and have a very interesting exploration. One thing I really liked about the campaign is that they tried to bring the video game feel to them. So, for example, there is in the Long Hunt, which is one of the campaigns, you have at a certain point you have to bring survivors, and you can bring them either to Iosefka's clinic or to the Oedon Chapel, just like in the video game. And if you played, you know, like, oh, one is a good call, the other one is a bad call, like. So they added those elements, and they did some modifications to some of the encounters and the fights that you have when you're playing the video game. For example, the Cleric Beast. They added some really cool twists. I'm not gonna say what because I think it's interesting to play, but the way the fight happens is slightly different from the actual encounter in the video game. But it's pretty cool. It's done so that it's fun to play in the board game, and I really like that they tried and they put some effort to that. If you're starting playing the game and you're reading the rules and still trying to understand, I think it could take you like 1 hour and a half, 2 hours to go through let's say the first one, and then as you learn the game it will be faster. The rule book, it explains you how to play the game pretty like in a simple way, so you don't have trouble. One thing though that I find it's not so well done in the game is that the rule book doesn't tell you really well how to handle rules for 2 players or 3 players in some cases. So you kind of have to go look elsewhere for those questions. So it kind of stops your game a few times the first times you play, and then the rule book can't answer the questions. But overall, it's going to be a great experience. I recommend it, and you have also the expansions, which I'm going to be doing some unboxing video and reviews later on. And they also add new bosses, new encounters, and so on. Like, you can play the game for a long time and you're still going to be seeing new things. So that's it. What do you guys think? Did you guys like what you see? Would you like to know more about the rules of the game? Like, one thing I was thinking was to do a how to play video of Bloodborne at some point. So if you would be interested by that, just let me know. And don't forget to give a thumbs up to the video if you liked it. And if you have any questions that I haven't clarified in the review, just write some comments below and I will be glad to answer them as we go. So thank you guys for watching and see you next time.